a race.
I'm not always watching a race, but tonight I am.
Yeah, you're always
It's Martinsville tonight. It's gonna,
Weekly struggle to get Greg to pay attention to our show instead of a race.
It's my personal homage to Greg.
Our weekly little race war that we have every week.
Really? Race war? What? Really?
Well,
that's not cool.
What?
That is not cool.
You know what else isn't cool? Not paying attention to the podcast you're recording.
I'm totally paying attention.
Hey, Greg, you're hosting this week. Let's go.
What?
That'll teach us.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
There you go. You gonna do the intro, Greg?
I'm waiting for you to start. Oh, you were serious?
No. Hello and welcome to episode 573 of the Blair One podcast for Tuesday, October 31st, 2017. It's Halloween
Spooky episode.
Get spooky up in here. I'm your host, Chris CJ Johnston. With me as always, from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Also known as GJ growing up.
GJ.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. All right. And joining me from the state of Washington, Mr. Filthy Walt. Hello.
I was working in the lab late one night, and my eyes revealed night. When my monster from his slab began to rise, then suddenly, to my surprise,
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
Okay.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
All right. So, joining us.
Thank you, Greg.
California, Mr. Ethan Einhorn. Hello.
Hey, I happy to be with you guys. Not so happy that my Switch has kickstand disease, where my kickstand will not stay in and it just flaps down, and I've had to put tape on it, which really kind of sucks.
You know what?
How's your wife feel about this?
I think, wow.
The little blue pill.
I think I called that, and I've been complaining about that type of thing ever since I think because Sony did this with the Vita as well, where we've replaced hinged openings on our consoles with these little. Just bend the plastic; it'll be fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to break. You knew that was going to happen with the kickstand right from the start. It's brutal.
It is a real shame.
Yeah.
Why are you using the kickstand anyway?
I use the kickstand a lot.
For as much as Ethan plays it, I'm surprised it's taken this long for the kickstand to break.
That's true. You're going to have to get one of those hoary stands.
Well, actually, Nyko is tomorrow, the 30th of October.
Tomorrow is not Nyko.
They're releasing a metal kickstand replacer, so I will see how that works.
Yeah. Oh man, I'll tell you, I forget who makes it, but if I was crazy like you guys and I was buying all my children's Switches, I would totally be buying one of those like in-car Switch cradle things that you can buy.
Oh,
yeah. I looked at that, I was like, well, that's a good idea if you're nuts.
Okay. I mean, if more money than brains, Switches, you can get you can get a mount for your car.
But no, it makes perfect sense. It's a good idea.
Yeah, see? It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing? We're this is the 11th year we're kicking off here.
My goodness.
Year 11. We're
11
into
years.
Wow, it feels like it's been barely more than a year. It's crazy it's been that long.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, we got
crazy. The last year has been the longest.
Yeah, it actually feels more like 22 years.
It finally started feeling like work this year.
Yeah.
I don't know
because nobody likes Ethan.
Oh wow,
wow.
That was a little harsh.
That's a low blow.
I was Ethan.
Yeah,
Ethan,
you know why Greg Ford left the show, because you hated him so much.
True. That's true.
That's true.
Push him away.
My constant bullying. I'm sorry, Ethan. That was just you know what that was? You know what that was? That was a trick. That was a trick. After the show. It
wasn't a treat. It was not a treat.
After the show,
you get your treat.
Stick around after the show, you're gonna get your treat.
Oh, baby.
You know what I mean?
You know what other anniversary is coming up?
What?
This weekend marks my 7th year doing the Extra Life charity stream.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much have you raised so far?
In total, like
In
lifetime,
yeah.
about $25,000.
Holy crap!
But you know
That's
what?
impressive.
You know what?
What?
I still have over $7,000 to raise this year for my $10,000 goal. So this is my last plea. Well, this week will be my last plea on the show to please give, if you can, extra-life.org/participant/Seward. All the money goes to the IWK Health Center here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm trying to raise $10,000. Got a couple things to point out. One, if you donate $40 or more, you get to choose what game I play from the TurboGrafx 16 library. There's still about half the slots available for my 24 hours. And for every $5 you donate, your name will be put into a raffle.
No.
For one of 2 Super NES classics donated by this very show, the Player One Podcast.
That's right.
I want to point out,
fantastic.
I want to point out that if everybody who listens to this show were to donate $1, I would smash my goal this year.
It's true.
Just go donate $1. Just
True.
$1.
True.
But hey, five puts you in the running for that thing. So please give. We got less than 5 days to go before we start.
And you're going to be streaming it live, twitch.tv/Seward.
Yep.
Whatever that URL is. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Watch some TurboGrafx.
You know what else is new? Our podcast logo art.
It is.
Yeah.
People seen the spiffy art we're
That's
doing.
right.
Not only is it on the show, it's on a t-shirt too. Teespring.com/P1 podcast.
Hold up one of those shirts for everyone to see. Watching on the YouTube.
I don't have the shirt
Oh.
physically here yet.
Oh.
But it will happen at some point.
We'll have an image of Phil laying on a bed draped in
Draped in shirts.
shirts.
That's right.
It'd be like Style Savvy, but with me.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
something like that.
Yeah.
The other thing is we've got new theme music, which you probably heard at the top of the show.
Yep.
From hacker alias Thorax's Chuck Rios, who you can check out at twitter.com/Thoraxes. And I'll link that in the show notes too. He's got a SoundCloud account with a lot of great music, and he had composed our previous theme as well. So he's back a second time. And
So it's good.
We thank him for the new theme song. And
Yay.
freshening things up here.
It's a fresh start.
Fresh start. Speaking of fresh starts.
I don't know where you're going to go with that.
Is this about NeoGaf?
Are we firing someone?
No, this is about NeoGaf.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
by the way, Reset Era has
I believe it's Resetera.
Resetera.
Resetera, isn't it?
Either one. Reset. It's a new era, a Reset Era, Resetera,
Yeah.
whatever. We got an official Player One podcast topic there. We've made the switch, made the migration.
Yeah.
Finally over there. So if people want to
As far as we know,
the show,
Because hey,
zero sexual predators at Resetera. As far as
hey,
we know.
as far as we
Gap
know,
is kind of dead. Holy crap!
it's kind of dead.
Yeah, there's
We're
tumbleweeds all over the place.
I was there on Thursday for the iPhone 10 pre-order thread,
Yeah.
and it was only 3 pages, and that never would happen before. So yeah, it seems like NeoGaf is sadly a ghost town.
Yeah,
But,
well,
a new
don't-
focus has sprung up in its place.
don't friggin' sexually harass people.
I think that's the
That's the takeaway.
that's
That's the takeaway.
Don't do it.
Yep.
All right.
Quick reminder: the Player One podcast forums don't have any sexual predators running it, as far as we know.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
far as we know.
Yeah. Let's keep it that way, please. No, I'm not gonna make any new
Yeah.
mods over there.
Yes, CJ.
All right. Should we talk about Kinect? Because the word on the street is that
Kinect
they've
is
stopped.
dead.
I understand. Kinect's even more dead than the NeoGaf.
Oh, I'm the family guy.
Wow, that wasn't bad. That was not bad. That was pretty much as good as Phil's.
Yeah, I was just waiting for that.
It's
Wait,
better
this
than that
doesn't-
time
this
the
doesn't-
Neo- huh?
This doesn't mean we're not getting a sequel to Fantasia, does it?
I think that's what it means. Yeah.
The Genesis one?
No, the Kinect one.
Genesis one.
It seems like a good time. Also, remember some of the first games coming out for the X are remastered versions of Kinect titles for the.
They really?
Yeah. They're doing Zoo Tycoon. They're doing 2 other Xbox 360 games too.
Zoo Tycoon.
The Disneyland,
Yeah, I mean,
one in the Pixar
yeah
thing. Anyway, they're not
Zoo
making
Tycoon,
them anymore.
Kinect was optional in Zoo Tycoon.
Well, yeah,
I know that because I worked on it.
Oh.
Oh, that's right. See, yeah,
But
yeah, no, yeah. So it's officially ended. But I mean, we saw this all coming a long time ago because I mean they stopped putting the Kinect port on the Xbox One S.
well, yeah, you had to get an adapter.
You had to buy
Wow.
a $50 adapter to actually use your
jeez.
Kinect. It's sad. I still have my Kinect attached.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't have enough of Microsoft spying on my every move. So,
Though
Well, now you
apparently
can
a lot
use
of the team.
any webcam on the new Microsoft,
which we talked about a couple weeks ago. That was announced a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
My understanding is a lot of that team went over to work on the Amazon Echo, also. So
Oh yeah,
really?
that is kind of the spiritual successor, and apparently a lot of what they wanted the Kinect to become is now in the Echo. I think the biggest problem with Kinect was beyond adding $100 to the machine, which was pretty catastrophic at the start, was the fact that it did not work 100% of the time. Even if it works like 85% of the time, that's just enough to piss you off and make you not want to use it.
that's true.
That's about how much
Same
I
with,
work.
What's that?
Wow.
At 85% of the time.
That's the same as Apple's digital assistant there. If it doesn't work right away, you don't want to use it anymore.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, Kinect. So long, farewell.
But I mean,
You're saying goodbye.
I will say that I don't know. It's fun to shit on the Kinect and everything, but not physically. But I knew that's exactly where Phil was going to go with that. I could see him warming up over there.
You don't say.
But I mean, there were some good experiences with that thing. There was Happy Action Theater. That was awesome. My kids love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that Res knockoff. I forget what they called it.
Dance Central was cool.
Dance Central was great.
Dance Central was really cool.
I know that Ethan doesn't think it's a real game, but the Just Dance games were awesome using Kinect.
Well, it might be okay using Kinect. I don't like it using just the motion waggle controls because there is zero precision. If the Kinect actually gives you real feedback with what you're doing, that's better.
Well,
I'd rather a dancing game be zero precision because have you seen my moves?
The fact that it's zero precision is actually what makes it so much fun. That makes it better than other dance games. But and I'm being totally serious there, and it's not just for me, but I mean, you've got I've had groups of like 6 or 7 kids sitting in here playing this game. Like my kids bring their friends over. It's not that they're doing great. The game's telling them they're doing great, but I mean, it's following them, and they're not, whatever. The fact that they're just having fun with it is all that matters, and the game is very forgiving there. But anyway, my point being, I liked the thing. I think they did almost everything wrong when it came to how they dealt with it on the Xbox One. But it's good technology. I know it didn't work 100% of the time, but it's good tech. And I mean, you see it everywhere. That's the thing that always got me about the Kinect is how reviled it ended up being. But like, I go to like my local movie theater, and they have like a big game wall, and it's run using Kinects. And I go to the Museum of Natural History here. Like they have exhibits. Like you see this in other places too, where like you'll have a sand table.
Oh sure.
And there's a Kinect hanging over it, and like if you dig a big enough hole in the sand, then it looks like it fills with water and all that, and it's all run using the Kinect.
Well, in malls, if you have a Microsoft store, there's usually a kiosk out front that has Dance Central still running on the Kinect because it brings a crowd.
So I mean, it's been used for multiple things, and I think that the Microsoft's statement that they gave about the news actually, I think, was really telling that the Kinect was only ever an R&D project. But
what
Kinect? Seriously, Kinect innovations live on in Xbox One, Windows 10, Cortana, Windows Mixed Reality, and future technologies. They'll be using what they did with Kinect and what they learned with, like you said, with with what Ethan was just saying. They'll be using that for years to come. That was a stepping stone to more.
No Milo.
Yeah, and I think that was exactly the problem, was that all the things that it does do well are not sexy things. So when they were trying to sell customers on it, they oversold. And so you thought you'd be swinging a lightsaber around in real time and it would feel like VR without the headset. And of course, it doesn't at all. It has terrible lag and all of that.
It's almost like they had the tech and they needed to sort of test market it, and that was the way they decided to do it. What product do we have on the market that we can attach this thing to? You know, and gather data.
I'll say when I was at Sega, we released the game Rise of Nightmares that was all Kinect based. It was kind of an extension of House of the Dead. And testing for a Kinect game was a nightmare. Same thing with Sonic Riders. It was just really, really tough because you had to think about all the different configurations of play and
I'm going to point you to
body sizes and all that.
I want to point you to a little Kinect game called Baller Beats.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. That came with a basketball. That was cool.
It came with a basketball. You want to talk about a testing nightmare? Holy! We did it.
Nice.
You know, speaking of other products that are dead, Lego Dimensions is officially over.
That's
2 years into its 3-year run.
Yeah.
That's too bad. They did a masterful job with that game, I gotta say.
I agree.
Hats off to everybody involved, because wow,
they targeted better than anybody.
Oh my
when it
God.
comes to just core gamers and dad gamers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, all the licenses they had and how they mixed them, and it was just fantastic. The game was pure fun.
Yes, indeed.
Did you see the news that Disney is bringing a new toy line where the figures look suspiciously like the designs used in Disney Infinity? Yeah, except they obviously aren't tied to a game. So
I gotta say, I think my biggest disappointment, because after saying all that, I definitely slowed down. I haven't even played the last couple of packs I bought for Lego Dimensions yet. Yeah. But reading that sort of the ultimate pack was going to be a story add-on for the main villain.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
We kind of bummed that's not going to happen. I almost wish they, I mean, God knows how much work was actually done on the actual code for that. But if they came anywhere close, I almost wish that they would just release that as standalone DLC or something. Yeah. But anyway, that's a bummer. But yeah, it's too bad that you saw it coming, and I think they did. I think they did Toys to Life better than anybody else. Personally,
I am the proud owner.
You guys, but...
I'm going to go ahead and finish the sentence I started before Ethan decided to pop on to the tail end of it.
Go ahead.
I'm the proud owner of every Lego Dimension figure.
Wow.
Really?
I couldn't bring myself to do that.
I have a complete set. Yes.
Damn.
There's way too much Ninjago involved there.
Now the Ninjago, the Chima sets, those were all purchased on sale.
Yeah.
So I got those at heavy discounts, but yeah, I do even the rare Green Arrow figure and the Supergirl figure. I got both of those.
Right. I forgot about those.
Yeah. So
nice.
Now I can stop buying them.
I can't wait to finish buying everything so I can sell it all.
Phil, I think we can say that your spending on Lego Dimensions has been capped.
It has. Finally.
As Shane Bettenhausen would say, your Lego Dimensions clear.
That's true.
Lego Dimensions clear. There you go.
So even with Amiibo, though, I personally have slowed down in buying them. I'll buy them now and again. I did get the Mario Odyssey ones because I was happily surprised they were in stock. But the Metroid ones were in stock, and I passed on that. Not because I didn't think they looked cool, but just because I don't feel like I can just buy every single one of them anymore. So I wonder, like, if people that were collecting not just say Amiibo, but also Infinity and Dimensions and stuff just got completely burned out.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they kind of killed the golden goose, and I think Nintendo's done the same thing. It was once they started releasing an army of Animal Crossing Amiibo, it seems like everybody, not everybody, but I'll tell you, I'm guessing a lot of people slowed down on collecting everything.
Yeah.
They
should have made those Animal Crossing Amiibos squishy. Then people would have bought them.
That's right. It started with fewer of them.
The squishy Metroids. Yeah.
That's squishy.
It's going to be disgusting 20 years from now.
Feels good. Feels that Metroid Amiibo is fantastic just because it has really great mouthfeel.
See, I kind of wanted the Mario Odyssey Amiibo set, but figured I'd get just about as much enjoyment out of it as setting fire to my $45. So I went and set fire to my $45 instead.
Wow.
Well, I bought the amiibo, and while I was playing, my daughter was doing a little Mario Odyssey play with them. It was great.
Ah.
Well,
Very cute.
and actually, my son had a functional use. I brought home all three of them. I told the kids, you two have to choose who gets what, and I'll take whatever's left. My son, of course, grabbed Mario. My daughter grabbed Bowser, which was interesting.
My daughter beat the shit out of him and took Mario.
But my son ended up finding that the 2D stages were a little too tough for him, so he just keeps his amiibo handy, and that turns on the Star Mario, so he just runs through those stages, invincible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
That's
nice
nice.
functionality. Yeah.
I've scanned them for the costumes, and that's it.
Well, Peach gives you the 3 bonus
Functionality.
hearts, so you have 6 hit points instead of 3.
Nice.
Yeah. So Ethan got the secret best one.
Secret
Yep.
best amiibo.
Although it's not the secret though, because Peach is the best.
True.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about Daisy, in which case
Who
What
remembers
about
Daisy?
Rosalina? You don't like Rosalina?
I like Rosalina. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I
get me
just
wrong.
wish there was a Pauline one.
I would totally buy a Pauline amiibo.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
That's not saying much. You totally buy any amiibo.
That's not true. That's not true. I only have a few Animal Crossing amiibo. All right. Speaking of Animal Crossing,
Oh boy.
why don't we talk about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which got announced via a direct last week, and it was then released in Australia as soft launch, and it comes out everywhere in November. Probably they said late November. So,
Okay.
but hey, it's out, and I downloaded it because I'm one of those people who has an Australian iTunes account to download games that are in soft launch. So I've been
How do you like
playing
it?
it.
And
I don't really like it, and it's not much of an Animal Crossing game. I still I've heard people on podcasts saying, "Oh my god, this is a full Animal Crossing game." It's not really a full Animal Crossing game. I mean, you can only go to certain areas. You can't customize those areas at all. So if you like digging holes and planting trees and such, there's none of that in there. Each area is sort of fixed in terms of what it has on it. So you go to the forest area and you have like 5 or 6 trees that you can get one kind of fruit from.
okay.
And then you can put them in a market box to sell to other friends, or you can use them in quests that the other animals in the environment give you. So this time now, instead of just being part of your town, the animals come and go, and they give you quests. So they want a certain fruit or a fish or a bug or whatever, and you're basically doing fetch quests to level up your relationship with those animals. And if you get a high enough relationship bonus, you can get them to come to your campsite and
drink.
No, but you have to have a certain type. You have to have a certain type of furniture that they like in your camp for them to actually come and visit you. But there are a lot of like different.
That's actually pretty true to life, though. I remember when I invited Stuart over, I had to buy a whole new couch because he was like, "I'm not sitting on a sectional."
No Adirondack
And
chairs.
And
No
the thing is
NASCAR pillows.
Phil was just so
Ask our
desperate
body
to have
pillows.
anybody come visit him that he did make that effort.
Needed that couch. This is $700, but it's $700 well spent because I am alone.
I'm so alone.
But there's doesn't seem to be any kind of customization stuff for your clothes, so you can't draw anything.
Aren't the Able Sisters in the game though?
The Able Sisters are in the game, yeah.
So what are they doing?
So you can
Nothing.
buy clothes from them. That's it.
But you can't customize clothes?
Nope.
What about what's her name? The one who's always sitting at the sewing machine.
She's not in the game. It's the other one. That's in the game. Yeah. So, but the interface too is very much Mitomo's interface. Like when you bring up the options and the mailbox and everything, it does the same thing Mitomo does, where you get items and you have to go to the mailbox to collect them. Which why even add that step?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of disappointed in this game. At first, on the direct, it looked like a really great Animal Crossing experience, and really, You know, it has all the animation and beautiful graphics from Animal Crossing and whatnot, but it just doesn't feel like a game I'm really going to want to come back to. It's basically a quest treadmill for the animals for not a whole lot of gain, unfortunately. So we'll see what people think of it.
Too bad, but not surprising. I mean, honestly, that's kind of how I started feeling about Animal Crossing games in general after a while.
Yeah, we'll see what people think of it when it finally comes out, but not too hot on it.
Well, and I wonder if you play longer term, if you'll get more out of it. I turned off Super Mario Run pretty quickly. I really enjoyed the brief campaign that it had, but then once they added the Super 10X content, I ended up the remix stuff. Yeah, I ended up playing a little bit every single day, and have just recently saved Daisy, and I'm just having a really good time with it. So maybe as they add more to Animal Crossing, it'll also become more robust and interesting.
It's possible. Yeah, I wonder as you get higher in levels with each animal if they're going to start asking you for more and more and more. They already have kind of started doing that, so I wonder at a certain point they'll ask you for like 50 apples.
Oh
we have my 50 apples.
Oh yeah, just scale the quests basically.
Just scale the quest. That's what they're already doing.
I mean, easy to do.
I also remember that there was some talk that this would in some way connect with the next console Animal Crossing. I don't remember where.
That was only the rumor. That was never.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, if that's the case, that could also expand the value of that experience as well, theoretically.
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last week we had that new Switch OS stuff that people then discovered that, hey, the GameCube controller adapter works on this thing. And Nintendo was like, wait, what? And they patched it out very quickly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Apparently,
Nintendo taketh away.
Apparently, Nintendo wasn't even aware that it did that. So,
but we have a new adapter to sell you when we inevitably release our next Smash Brothers remake.
Who knows?
Patch that out quick.
I guess we'll find out. I think people sort of took that functionality as being confirmation that Smash Brothers would come for the system. But
I mean, did you need confirmation that Smash Brothers?
I mean, of course,
this is the most like this is Anyway,
it's been
coming to the system
before the Switch was a thing that the next console was going to have.
We all know how Nintendo hates to make money, so maybe it won't come here.
Yeah, they definitely don't like money.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that is where we'll end. Oh, wait. There's one more story, I guess. We talk about the EA Star Wars game stuff, Project Ragtag, because Kotaku posted a story by Jason Schreier that went into some additional details.
Really great story, actually. Got to call out Jason for some fantastic work. I need to pick up his book, actually.
Yes.
But yeah, we should put the link in the show notes, CJ. But Kotaku did a great story, and I know it's weird to say that. Kotaku did a great story that really sort of delved into the history of sort of what led to Visceral Games shutting down. I mean, for the most part, honestly, it's weird because I believe either at the beginning of the story or what people were saying in the reaction to the story was, it wasn't that EA is just all about the long tail games now and not the short or the play once and sell it single player experiences. But when you read the story, it's still pretty much that's what it is. But it's interesting to see how basically LucasArts being shut down really sort of set Visceral on a path to end up shutting down as well. Although I think you could also make a real argument that EA has not known what to do with Visceral since Dead Space 3.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do is they were crafting incredible single player experiences.
They were using them for a support shop, though.
That's what I'm saying, and I mean that only lasts so long. And that's what I'm like. The story is interesting because of that. Because I mean, it goes into they make actually a lot of direct comparisons to EA has a ton of people in Vancouver. EA has a new shop open up in Montreal now. What comes with that, which I think a lot of people probably don't realize, because Canada now is, I think it's either the second or the third biggest game development country in the world. I think it just moved into second, but a lot of that has to do with companies being enticed here through tax breaks.
Mhm.
And they talk about that in the story. And it's not some big secret, but it's not something that I think a lot of, especially in the US, I don't think a lot of consumers would really understand. But I mean, on top of that, you also consider cost of living. And, Visceral was in Redwood Shores. They were they were talking about something along the lines of, if you would look at an employee at a studio, on average in EA, that employee costs the studio about, I think they said $10,000 a month. And on average at Redwood Shores at Visceral, the employee cost the studio about $16,000 a month. That's not necessarily what they're being paid, because you're also talking about benefits and that sort of things, and overhead and keeping the lights on. But they were easily the most expensive studio for EA to keep running, and they're using him in a support role. Yeah, that wasn't going to last.
Well, and the thing is you can have a disaster like Superman Returns if you also are making Madden games.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's a really good point. Anyway, it's a fascinating article. There's a lot of information there that, sort of deals with the biz side of gaming, and also how Amy Hennig didn't really integrate as well into the team as I think she probably had hoped. Yeah, it's a fascinating article. You should go read it.
Absolutely.
And if Schreier's book is like that, like, I was going to buy it anyway, but now I'm actually really, really excited to read that book.
Well, this does lead to a question also, where we had a lot of hot takes from the editorial community as to what happened before his article hit.
Yeah.
We had a lot of that happen with Loot Crates too. Actually, I was in a conversation with somebody who supported Loot Crates and actually made a very good point that not a single story talked to any customers that actually use and like the Loot Crates, right? They might have some anecdotal, evidence that the journalists themselves use it now and again, but it seems like there's not as much kind of research looking at all sides of the story before these things go to press. And so it's nice that we have something that was a bit more research. But what do you think about all these immediate hot takes that kind of dominate the news cycle, that just kind of go in one direction without looking at the big picture?
I think that is the media in 2017.
Well, it's not just the media.
When seconds cost you ad dollars.
It's people in general. They hear a story that they immediately need to comment on, and they go to Twitter or what have you, and don't do any research.
But I mean, I want to point out, even after reading that article, people who were saying that a lot of this has to do with EA focusing more on games that have a large multiplayer component that players can play for hundreds of hours, that wasn't wrong.
Right.
Well, look at Anthem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, I don't think people jumped the gun too much, because EA did put out a statement too, didn't they, at some point?
Yeah,
about this last week. So I mean, but it's fun. It's great to see that there are people who were going and sort of digging deeper on that story. I'd like to see more of that for sure. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't any major revelation that everybody was wrong here.
Right.
It was just nice to sort of see the larger picture.
It was like the EA statement is one thing, but the reality is a lot more nuanced than.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is that I'm glad that we got Jason's story on that. But I just remember, with EGM, it tended to be during the Dan Chu era. It was it was not about being first; it was about being right and being thorough, right? And
well,
so
we could do that because we were seeing me at a lead time.
No, I miss it. I miss it. And I think, but I'm saying, I'd say that the news media in general, not just games, but in general, misses it. I miss it.
Right.
I mean, I thought this
ad money now.
This story was great, and I thought Patrick Klepek's story on the NeoGAF implosion was great too.
That was good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about what we have been playing.
Oh yeah.
And not Mario.
No, my coffee doesn't get here till Tuesday.
Actually, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. At one point it was, Amazon release day delivery was great. And now on the internet, I see a lot of people saying, I pre-ordered this a year ago or whenever it was up for pre-order, and it's not coming until Monday or Tuesday or whatever. That's starting to become a real problem, I think.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
online
if
ordering
it's something that you've
doesn't
come to
actually get you
expect.
release day delivery anymore. And with Amiibo, so the Amiibo pack of the wedding stuff from Mario Odyssey went up on Amazon on Friday, and you couldn't get it before Sunday. Like you couldn't get same day delivery or anything. So it's like they're putting up some of that stuff late, and then they're not delivering on their release day promises. So it's disappointing.
Kind of accepted it at this point. Although I was bummed because I really thought that my copy of Wolfenstein would show up by Friday, but it didn't. So
yeah. Well, there you go. Double doozy.
If I may share my Thursday night story. So we got the announcement that GameStop was going to be letting people buy their games at 9 p.m. on Thursday. And so I pick up my daughter from gymnastics at 7:30. So what I did was we set it up so that I picked her up. We had reservations to get Chicago deep dish pizza. So had a delicious meal before going and picking up the games, and she got to see what it was like to see all the energy and excitement of a huge line and everyone talking about Mario and wearing the hats and all of that. And then we had a 45-minute drive home, and so the entire ride home she was able to play Mario, and I let her pump it through the car speakers, so she got the deluxe experience before Dad did. And it was great. It was great. It was just something that I think she'll remember.
Then you got home and sat in your driveway in your car playing it yourself.
You playing it over the car stereo, and you kept looking over and not looking at the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa. Yeah.
I would hope your daughter was in the back seat.
She was in the back seat. Okay. Yes.
So he wasn't looking over.
Yeah. Yep.
Just
and
saying.
So. And boy, I'll tell you, like this weekend, I have not completed the game as some of you have, but that's in good part because my 7 and 10-year-old have just completely dominated the Switches. It's like my son has just taken mine over.
You know what the solution is to that?
Buy him a Switch.
Switch number 3.
That's right. That's right.
We know that's where it's going.
Or you know what the real solution to that is?
Take it away from him.
Be a man.
Wow.
Be a man.
Wow.
Be a man.
All right,
You're
at
the adult.
Daddy's turn.
You're the adult in that household. You don't need to.
I was afraid you're gonna say, hand him your mobile phone or something like that. No.
That would work too.
Kids love
Clash of Clans.
Clash of Clans.
No, not even Clash of Clans. Clash Royale. Galaxy of Heroes.
Clash Royale. That's the current one, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Play some Angry Birds.
Get the kids on that. You can have all the Super Mario you want.
Physics and stuff.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's an educational game.
Yep. So he has put probably 6 hours into the game so far. My daughter probably about the same.
I think they should do their homework.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of it? What do you think of the game, Ethan?
I love it.
No spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna
spoilers.
Try to keep this no spoiler. I finished the game.
How about that Bowser fight at the end?
Spoiler, come on, gosh.
Turns out Bowser's the bad guy. I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah.
How about that part where Mario jumps and lands on that little little mushroom guy? Yeah. Lois. Reminds me of that time Mario jumped out of Goomba and Bowser said, "Wah."
That was good.
Thank you. Watch the Orville, everyone. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to put it, for me anyways, if you've really wanted something that's like a true successor to Mario 64, this is it. This really feels like a true sequel to Mario 64.
Really does. Open world, collecting moons and whatnot. You aren't kicked out of the level after you collect one, so it's real easy to play this kind of in Breath of the Wild style, where you are going towards one goal and see something shiny and go after that instead of going the way you were going, and you can just kind of dump hours into this game that way.
Well, I also like, though, unlike Zelda, where collecting Korok seeds doesn't feel like a lot more than busy work, right? Yeah. Here, every single moon you collect is really valuable.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
each one tells a story.
Yeah. And
I
here's
wouldn't say that.
Here's one thing I have
either.
heard.
That's why I'm wondering why Ethan was so quick to agree.
I would like to see if you guys, Phil and CJ, who've beaten the game, if you can at least confirm this. The game doesn't make clear that there's a good reason to collect moons after you have enough to leave the area. But my understanding is that there is a good reason to continue to collect. Is that true?
I'm not gonna go into that.
Yeah, that would be.
I don't think we should go into that because that might spoil some things. But I will say, the game does kind of keep you on the critical path. It only shows you how many moons you need to get to the next area initially, and it doesn't even really hint that you can put the cap back on the globe to go to an area select in case you want to go back while you're going forward. Yeah. So there's that.
So CJ.
Yeah.
Having finished the game, would you say that this game has uncapped platforming?
Yes.
Sounds like a yes.
Why?
Sounds like a yes.
Must we turn everything into a fight?
Boy, is the game pretty though. I will. This will spoil nothing, but I just got past the rainy part in the game, and I just
now I know it rains,
that totally spoils everything.
Oh, in the Rain Kingdom.
I'm just saying
where Pauline dies.
When they went into the detail about what a rough life she had, though, I mean,
God, what happened after the events of Donkey Kong?
You've played the game. Now find out the story behind the characters.
Did you ever see the movie Kids? It was a lot like that.
Did you ever see it coming though? That like she is Donkey Kong Jr.'s mom.
Well,
holy cow!
Yeah, I will say so. I waited to start the game until Friday night, and my daughter was very excited about the game. In fact, like last week, she was saying she would wake up and go 4 more days, 3 more days, 2 more days. It was very cute.
You realize, I'm just going to point this out. You realize that it's not necessarily that she's excited about the game. She's excited about something you're excited about.
That's true.
That's all.
And
that's all that is.
I'm fine with that. She's downstairs playing.
Your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old is not that discerning yet. I'm just going to call that
out. Sure. So anyway, we started playing, and she was playing as Mario, and I was playing as Cappy, and we started with the assist mode, which gives you a blue arrow towards the main goals in the game. And actually, that was a really fun way to play. I found, in Mario Galaxy, they had the the separate player 2 waggles the Wii remote around and collects star shards or whatever, but and that wasn't really all that fun for the second player, especially if you were a gamer. If you're a real gamer.
Luckily you were playing.
Luckily, yeah. But the Cappy mode actually is really nice because you can do a lot of things. You can collect coins for your second player. You can get enemies. You can possess things for your second player. And against bosses, you can sort of clear pathways and clear out projectiles and stuff for them. So we played probably through half the game that way, and it was a lot of fun for both of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
My kids aren't allowed to touch my Switch.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Because they're going to break it or something?
Well, that's, probably, but yeah.
The variety in play is also awesome. Just the whole thing with jumping from different, bodies. I especially like the tank. That's so much fun to play.
Oh, yeah. And I am glad, during the critical path that they have you follow, there are, it feels a lot easier, but if you go off the beaten path and get into some of the side quests, man, there's some pretty hard challenges to be found in this game.
Yeah.
Like if just explore a little bit and you can find some crazy stuff.
How many moons do you have right now, CJ?
I think like 160, 170-ish.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, not all that many.
Okay. I have about 230 at the moment.
Oh, okay. Now, have you been going through it and collecting everything you can in an area before going to the next one?
I've been bouncing around here and there. I'll go back to one level and play a little bit, and then because I've been playing. Well, Finn's been watching me play, so we'll play a world for a bit until he gets a little bored of exploring that one, and then he'll pick a new one to go to, and we'll go there and explore around. So
cool.
So I've been bouncing here and there, back and forth.
Okay.
No, just
to and fro,
living life, seeing what there is to see.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that's how you do.
Yeah,
you know how we do.
It's good stuff.
It got a lot of 10s, by the way, and
game,
the highest rated game on Metacritic.
Yeah, with number 2 being Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah,
I must say this:
universal praise.
End game sequence is outstanding.
I've heard a lot about that.
I'm not going to say anything more than that.
So I did the ending sequence when my daughter was playing because I had to do it for her.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the boss battles got really tough.
Was that a girls can't play games thing?
No.
Okay.
The boss battles got too tough for her. She got frustrated, and then I did it again on my own game, and it's fantastic. It is really one of the most memorable sequences in a game.
Yep.
That you'll find.
Is it on the level of the treats in Uncharted 4? Because that's so far been my favorite closer for a game this generation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's really quite good.
It's really good.
It does.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh my god!
If you're on the internet, if you're on the internet, mute the word Mario or something because until you finish the game, because you're in for a treat. It's fun.
Yeah, I posted a few things on the Twitters, but I try not to do anything spoilery.
Yeah,
just because there's the stuff in this game that is a treat, is really a treat, and getting it spoiled for you would be a real bummer. But
yeah,
I did see John Davison just post something to Twitter that spoiled a really clever part. And I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Why'd you do that, John? John,
I mean,
there's
lots of cool stuff in the game that you spoiled outside of the end game stuff entirely.
Yeah.
I mean, I had watched all of the videos that Nintendo had put out in the E3 playthroughs and whatnot, and there were still a lot of surprises. So I'm still playing it. I've obviously finished the game, but I'm gonna go back and collect more moons.
Yeah,
because it's awesome.
Gotta get all those extra costumes.
That's right. Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those costumes are a lot of fun too.
They are.
You know, and the different ways in which you see them, I'll say nothing more than that, I think is really, really cool.
There's a really great costume that you can unlock post-game.
Oh, okay.
Don't say anything more.
I'm not saying anything more.
There are a lot of costumes that you can lock.
I know, but there's
as you collect more moons, they unlock more stuff in the shop that you can get, and a lot of it is super cool.
Yep.
And I know it's often oversaid and overused, but I do think that this game does represent that kind of Pixar level of visual quality as well.
Sure.
I mean, I think it just looks. I think
you're right. I think you're right.
What I mean by that is I can't imagine, like, if you put this on Xbox One X or something like that, right? You might get HDR, but I don't think you could make a better looking Mario game, or at least it'd be hard for my limited imagination to think about.
I don't know. How. I think it could be better. It could probably be better looking than this. I mean, I'm never one to say, oh, that CG is the best it's ever going to be. I mean, it'll definitely be better in subsequent generations, but this is pretty damn good. And also, I love what Nintendo does with design, where, and they did this with Breath of the Wild a lot too. Like, you see something that you think you can interact with, and you go there and you try it, and it turns out to be something really awesome. And that's true in Mario Odyssey as well. Like in the Metro Kingdom, when you're scaling buildings and whatnot, there's cool stuff all over these environments.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to get my copy.
It's a good game.
Tuesday.
It's a good game, and the fact that I finished it in like 2 days.
So how many hours would you say that was, CJ? You have a rough estimate, or does it track? Well, I guess the
it does
Switch
track.
time.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Check it out.
I played a lot of it.
That was a hint to grab your Switch and see how much you played.
It's not going to tell me because it takes a week for that thing to show up, right?
Does it still with 4.0?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Okay,
but it's a great game, and I don't think I'm anywhere near done playing it. So
yeah, I was concerned that finishing the game, beating the final boss, would kind of be the end of it, and it would just end up on the shelf. But the stuff that happens immediately post game really motivates you to continue playing.
Yeah, cool. They've done it in a really interesting way, and like Super Mario 3D Land, if you remember, and I think they did this in some other Marios also, some of the more linear Marios, where you get to the end, quote unquote, and then there's a whole bunch more. You're really not at the end. You're, really halfway and whatnot. And they've done that in Mario 3D Land and Mario 3D World. And it's kind of similar here, where I feel like, yes, I did see the end of the story, but I'm not at the end of the game.
Okay.
They did it in a really interesting way.
So do you feel disappointed at all that you blew through the central part of the game, though, that quickly, or not?
No. Not at all. No.
Not even a little.
Not even a little. And I did it twice this weekend. And I still want to go back and play more.
That's great. That's great.
And the photo mode is great.
That is cool.
I mean, spoilers aside on Twitter and people being crappy with that, but it's fantastic to be able to pause at any point in the gameplay and put together a shot and use the filters that they have, which include things like Game Boy and Super Nintendo.
Yeah. NES, SNES, and Game Boy filters.
NES, SNES, and Game Boy, yeah. And take shot. There have been some great stuff. I've been following a thread that's only about the photo mode. It's only grabs from the game. Yeah, and there are a lot of spoilers in there, but it's awesome. So once you're finished with the game or the main part of the story, you should follow threads like that.
Have you guys been scanning in all your amiibo?
I scanned the amiibo in to get the outfits, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, and if this is a spoiler, don't say anything at all. But
don't say it. Don't say it. I'm gonna stop you right there. Just don't even ask the question. All right, Ethan, do you want to tell us about what else you've been playing?
Yeah. I also stayed up till 3 a.m. last night playing Assassin's Creed Origins. So, been switching off a lot between Mario and Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed is a series that I love. I have played fully through, I think, every single game other than maybe the DS one that came out. I played even through like the PSP one and the Vita one and Assassin's Creed Rogue and certainly all the mainline ones. I just really like this series. There's something that just feels right to me about playing an Assassin's Creed game around Thanksgiving. It's a relaxing thing. I like going through all the different environments. And this one, I think, is the second best of the current generation. I think that it's not as good as Assassin's Creed 4. I completely fell in love with the ship battle stuff and AC4, but this beyond that has interesting characters, and the Egypt setting I think is great, and the combat is so much better than it has been in prior installments. There's more agency. There's more risk reward in terms of your parries. It's not quite as forgiving, which makes it feel like there's more to master. It's not just constantly flipping characters over and stabbing them. And so you will get thrashed. You will get your butt handed to you if you're taking on missions that you're not ready for. But it has a really good RPG leveling system. And it is just as satisfying to explore. And these lands are huge, just absolutely mammoth. And it takes a long time to get from place to place just using your camel. But now the climbing to the top of the pyres becomes even more meaningful because they become your means of fast travel in the game. It's also the first game that I can think of where I look at it and say, okay, a lot of this clearly feels like it's intended for an HDR display, which I do not have, which was interesting to me. A lot of like real strong contrast with light and dark, and stepping from the darkness into like a super bright area and stuff like that.
Out from the darkness, you stumbled into the light. Fighting for the things you know are right.
Just go ahead and talk over him.
Dare to believe you can survive.
So it's not too heavy-handed with the Abstergo industry stuff. It is in there. Some people have criticized the intro of the game for being a bit disjointed, and that I think is true. You do get the kind of basic idea of where the story's going within the first couple of hours, and in fact you don't even see the title credit come up until about 2.5 hours into the game. But the first 15-20 minutes or so is pretty jarring. You don't really understand what's going on. I wasn't even sure in flashbacks which character was which, because you have a very distinct hairstyle in current day, and in flashbacks your head is shaved, and so you end up looking very much like another character. And so it was a bit of a jumble to me, but once you're off and running, it's quite fun. It's not as light as Assassin's Creed 4. It's not as fun in terms of like the Kenway character being kind of one that doesn't take the proceedings too seriously. This is a grimmer type of thing, but it's good. Are you guys interested at all in it?
Yeah, I am interested in playing it. I loved Black Flag. That was the last one I really liked, and I picked up Unity and Syndicate on discount, but never really played a whole lot of them. They didn't really grab me like Black Flag did. And I'm interested in this one, but I don't know. I think I'll probably wait. I decided not to pick it up at launch because I wanted to pour as much time into Mario as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't feel to me like a major reboot of the franchise. I think that it is a little bit better than Syndicate and much better than Unity, and not as good as AC4. That's kind of where it lands for me. Okay. So if you are not a convert, this won't convert you. But I do think that, as I said, the combat's much better, and I think that it's really nice that you have this progression system that feels like an RPG. You have a skill tree that is a lot like, say, what you get in Tomb Raider, and it feels really good to kind of decide if you want to be a hunter or a warrior, that type of distinction for your character.
I mostly just want to play it for the setting. I love where it's set. I haven't really been an Assassin's Creed person in a long time, but the setting is really sort of calling to me.
Yeah, well, and so I also put a lot of time into Fire Emblem Warriors, which really is satisfying to me. That is a game that, just as we discussed last week, and I won't belabor it, but it combines the Musou and Fire Emblem DNA so well that it really does feel like an extension of both. It doesn't feel like a reskin. It just it feels nicely strategic, and every single battle is a rush. Now, I really wanted to know if Phil got it, because he's really into the Musou games.
Yes, I bought it.
What do you think?
I think I was playing Mario Odyssey all
instead.
Yeah. It's funny because having that come out like right on top of Mario Odyssey seems like such a strange choice.
They probably could have done with releasing that a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah, or even closer to Thanksgiving. Maybe.
I picked it up the same day I picked up Mario Odyssey, which is it's a losing battle you're fighting there. I don't care what game you are.
That's true.
Yep. I don't care how much Musou you got in you.
That's totally reasonable, but I think you really like it when you.
And you're not even a Fire Emblem fan, there, Phil.
Fire Emblem's fine. I have nothing against Fire Emblem, but it was.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where it's like I like Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem's fine.
I liked Hyrule Warriors a whole lot, and this is a real good game with that Musou mechanics.
Yeah.
Yep. I've put in about 14 hours so far. I've really been enjoying it. And so much of that initial part of the game is focused on the characters in the 3DS games, which makes me very happy because that's where I really got deeply into the series. So lots from Awakening and Fates. Yeah, I mean, again, I will say this: if you're looking for a nice counterpart, something that's a totally different gameplay experience to enjoy for 15 minutes or so after you're done with a longer session of Mario, that fits the bill. Yeah, so I also ended up I think completing the pre-orders that I want for the year. So I just paid off Sonic Forces, which comes out on the 7th, and
getting good initial reviews, I think, too, or initial buzz anyway.
Yeah,
Except for
$40.
That demo.
Yeah, the minute-long demo in Japan.
Minute-long demo. Great.
To be fair, that's like 3 Sonic stages, but
it's $40, which I think is really smart, and there's no cartridge tax on it, so it's $40 for all platforms, including Switch. So I did get
cartridge tax. God,
I know. I'm just saying it doesn't do that.
What does the Kool-Aid taste like? Like, can you describe it in like food terms?
I'm saying this thing that's
no
not cool. This doesn't do. Okay, you're not paying any extra to get it on Switch. And I paid off my Doom, paid off my Skyrim, and
congratulations on buying those years-old games. Continue.
Hey, no, but come on, playing them handheld. I'm super
it's weird
excited
that it's taking you this many years to pay off Skyrim. It wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, he borrowed some money from some very suspect people. He's been paying off that loan for years now.
10 points above the VIG.
Yeah, and then I'm holding off on paying off LA Noire and Xenoblade because I
wouldn't pay off LA Noire. That like 15 years ago, that was too expensive.
That's a good idea.
And that's a $60 release too, I believe. No, 50. It was 50. Yeah,
you could probably pass on that.
You're big on reviews. So have you read reviews for LA Noire at all, or
not for the reissue? I haven't seen any out yet.
Same game.
You think they're changing the game up that much? Are you?
I still want it, but as I said, I'm not prioritizing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Game
so
stinks.
that's what I've been playing this week.
Cool, Greg. You've been quiet because we've been
because you guys are talking about games Mario. I don't have yet. It's a bunch of dicks.
So then tell us, what have you been playing?
Probably the biggest thing for me this week was I actually finished Samus Returns.
Woo! Yay! Nice.
Yeah, I gotta
say,
those
last 2 bosses, man.
Yeah, actually, I was curious. Now, I at the risk of spoiling, there are 2 final bosses. But you were saying that you had been talking to a friend, and you were both complaining that it wasn't clear that you were damaging. Was that what it was? Which boss were you talking about? The stationary one? The flying one. Okay.
It just didn't seem like there was meaningful feedback to let me know that I was hitting him. So like asking Verge, they turn a color, and
but so does that boss.
Okay, I didn't.
He gets a very, very deep red as you're damaging him.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
But when you're actually hitting him, you don't have a sense that you're hitting him in the right place.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I can hear that. All right, I see that. Yeah. That I didn't have any other major problems except for that one area where you had to run through that I complained about a couple of weeks ago that almost turned me off of the game. I'm glad that it didn't, because I ended up really enjoying everything else about that game. The pacing was a little slow at times, but and I think that the whole second final boss was totally gratuitous. I don't see the point. It felt like it made what should have been the final boss anticlimactic, completely anticlimactic. And like you kind of, it's funny because there's a YouTube channel that some guys at work actually turned me on to. Mark Brown is the guy's name, and he does some fantastic videos where he breaks down kind of the design of things, and he did a
Game Maker's Toolkit.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm sorry, Game Maker's Toolkit. When you subscribe to him, it's just listed as Mark Brown. He has this wonderful video on remaking Metroid 2, and where he actually does a lot of direct comparisons between the original Metroid 2, AM2R, which was the fan remake, and the 3D remake, and he compares or the most recent fan remake, and Samus Returns. And I think he made a really good point. And again, not to get too spoilery, but Metroid 2 features a bit of a victory lap, gameplay-wise. And the Samus Returns kind of just throws it all out the window. And I didn't like when I finished the game, I didn't realize that that's what was bothering me about it. But then I went and I watched this video, and it's like, yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly the problem. They kind of messed up the pacing there. It's like, I've worked 16 hours to get to this point. The game's had a good level of intensity. I'm really, digging this. And then it's just kind of like, you are telegraphing to me that I am not even close to finishing this, and you're going to throw one other major thing right in my way. And I just feel like it kind of bummed me out a little bit. And I got stuck on that final boss. Man, I could not beat it for, a lot of tries.
And I found myself tempted to just say, screw it, I'm going to watch it on YouTube. But that's the worst feeling when you're at the end of the game.
I hate having to get to that point. Yeah, same here. There's one attack in particular that final boss has, which I couldn't. I knew what the tell was, but I wasn't reacting fast enough. To deal with it. And the thing is that that attack was so powerful. And you probably know which one I'm talking about, Ethan. But it just even if you were like really, really powered up, it would suck at least 50% of your hit points.
Yes. Well, and
and it was after fighting it for quite a while. I was like, really? Oh man.
I've said it on the show before, but I maintain that the absolute final boss should not be the hardest boss in the game. The penultimate boss should be the hardest one. The final boss should give you a feeling of power and excitement and closure, and it shouldn't take you forever.
Yeah, I agree with that. It should be challenging, but yes, it shouldn't be this brick wall that just drops right in front of you, and you're like when you can touch the end of the game.
Right, and I believe again that's because so often we get to a point when we're playing where we know we're close, and then we just want to finish it because you can taste that you're right there at the ending, and then if you have to just spend an hour and 30 minutes just beating the same character over and over again, that sucks. That's a bad feeling.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, still pretty happy with the game. Some major difficulty spikes in some spots that were a little bit of a bummer, and the pacing wasn't as good as I'd like it to be. But overall, was happy with the remake. I have to say that mining robot ends up being a proper boss later in the game, and I think it's probably my favorite boss fight in the game.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it really, it was one of those. It's one of those great boss fights that's like multi-stage, but it uses. You pretty much have to use every trick you have. Everything you've learned up to that point, you have to use at some point or another in that battle. So yeah, really happy with it. So overall, good game.
After having played through Axiom Verge, I now would definitely have preferred to get it on Switch. But that being said, I still did love having that second screen for the map, and I did really like the 3D effects. I thought that it looked really.
Oh yeah, those kinds of games always look great with the 3D effects.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, you're playing more Forza Motorsport 7. Mario plus Rabbids. I'm actually in the Halloween area in World 3 right now, which is kind of fitting.
Cool.
Only really fired that up again because I had finished Samus Returns and wanted something portable to play, and Mario Odyssey hadn't shown up yet. So,
well, the beauty of that game is that you can just pick it up, play, and then come back 2 months later if you need to, and you don't feel like you're missing something.
Yeah, it's not so deep that you've forgotten
everything.
Yeah. A couple games that I played this week, actually, which were donor requests on my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Seward, by the way. I played the remake of Shadowgate.
Oh.
Which, I mean, we talked about this a long time ago, but I hadn't really spent a lot of time with it. That is really good. That's gorgeous, too. The art in it is fantastic, but it really, it feels like it really takes... And I'll apologize. My familiarity with Shadowgate is the NES game, which I think most of us, that probably is. We didn't play it as a Mac Venture game back in the day, probably. Yeah. But it takes sort of the bones of the original game and expands on it really nicely. It opens up pretty quickly into what feels like, I haven't finished it, but what feels like a much bigger game than the original. And I also love that even though they pay, like when you bought the game on Steam, you actually got an emulated version of the old Mac game that you could play, which is pretty cool. But I love that the music actually takes a lot of its cues from the Kemco Seika NES version, because the music in that game was fantastic. So really cool little game. It's probably pretty cheap at this point too. And the other game that I played this week was Mr. Mosquito.
All right.
It's a fresh games joint from IDOS.
Did you finally finish paying that off?
I did. I finally finished paying it off.
Good job.
Yeah, great game.
It was a great game, and again, I haven't played that in probably 15 years or so. Not that easy to control, pretty tough, but a fantastic little game. It's like it's weird. It was released by Sony in Japan. You play as a mosquito, and you're basically harassing a Japanese family during their summer holidays.
Yep. There's a sequel that came out that never came to the US too.
Really? I didn't know that. It's so bizarre, and that's what makes it so great. And I love that it was right around that time where that's what everyone seemed to want to dabble in. It was around that time where the PlayStation 2 had hit critical mass. So you kind of like, you know what, we can afford to take a risk with stuff like this because
Katamari era.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't have to sell huge numbers for us to make our money back. It just, even if it sells like 10% of the market, we're still going to make a profit, sort of thing.
Such a great point. It's like it becomes more like your Music Land or Sam Goody, where there's like tons of different types of music, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, to me, that's what seemed to happen on that console, which is why you want to see a console hit like that massive sort of, acceptance, so that you can take a chance on a smaller game. And even if it's, percentage wise not a huge hit, you still make your money. But yeah, it's the beauty of that game is, so it puts you in different situations where, like, there's the father, the mother, and the teenage daughter, which of course you attack in the bathtub at some point, because of course you do. And it's got this whole storyline where you basically slowly drive them all mad because there's a mosquito in the house that they can't kill, and they're just it just turns into this completely insane area. Like, I seem to remember, and I didn't get to this when I was playing it this week, but I remember, I think it was Mark McDonald that I watched playing it back at EGM in the day, where like the father is there in a room that's just filled with bug zappers and mosquito coils, and like you can barely fly through it, and like they're using like a lot of martial arts moves on you, trying to kill you. It's so cool. So
nice.
Cool.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, I was really happy when it got requested on the channel. So you can check that out on my YouTube. You can check out the archive on my YouTube channel.
Cool.
By the way, just check it out sometime. But that's what I've been playing.
Cool.
All right, Phil.
Yeah.
We're finally
Mario.
Mario.
Mario. Playing this Mario.
Mario.
What do you think of the bosses so far?
The boss. So far, I finished the game.
I mean, you finished the game.
What
Yeah.
I think of the
What do
bosses.
you think of the bosses?
I think the bosses are fantastic. They are all fun to play.
They are.
They'll have clever little techniques to defeat them. Fun.
Little surprised they went with the white rabbits, like right after Rabbids.
Okay.
All right.
It's just they look like uglier rabbits.
Okay. Yeah, I have no real opinion on the Brutals.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They could have been Koopa Kids, and that would have been
Koopa Kids. Should have been Koopa Kids.
Should have been Koopa Kids.
Always.
Yeah.
That's just the go-to.
Yeah.
Should always be the Koopa Kids.
All right.
And that's it.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up what we've been playing, because I've only been playing Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
I've been playing Mario Odyssey.
Because I preloaded it. Digital Future, baby. Woo!
Yeah,
You
only
get that
5
memory card.
gigs, right? Not that big a game.
Yeah, 5 gigs. Yeah. Not bad at all. All right. It's time for tweets.
Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee. Tweet-a-dee-dee-dee. Tweet. 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 Tweet.
All right. Let's do this one from Hacker Alias, Last Place 09, who says, will you... Yeah. Start that over.
Well, you screwed that up pretty quick.
Who says, would you still be up for the next Nintendo console if it wasn't a hybrid console like the Switch?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm always up for a new console.
Yeah, I'm always up for it. Yeah, sure. I'd be interested in something that's not portable. Fine, but I really do like what they got going with Switch.
It does make me wonder what the Switch, like the next generation of Switch is going to be. I wonder if they're going to make it smaller and more pocketable, or what.
I feel like if you get much smaller, and I know a lot of news sites have published things about, oh, the Switch Junior, and what if you can't detach the Joy-Cons and it's tiny and stuff. But you try to get an interface in a game that works on both a TV and a portable.
That's tough.
If you get too much smaller than the current size, you are not going to be able to read that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
already Mario's kind of tiny on that screen.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did
just think of a smaller version of it.
Before I do forget, and this is really important to me, having read these kind of nervous stories from journalists about certain moves that you can't do very well in Mario Sunshine because you're playing handheld mode and you can't do the motion controls.
Right.
Did you say Mario Sunshine?
Sorry, Odyssey. I did say Sunshine. Yeah. Is that a big deal or not?
Is it a big deal or not?
To not be able to use motion controls in handheld.
No. So I mean, most of the time I played. When I played handheld, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, yeah, there's some extra things you can do with just a motion, but it's the same game. I don't really find it too much of a detriment.
Okay, so you weren't finding like moves that you just couldn't reach.
No.
Okay.
During the second and final boss fight, when the mutant Rosalina latches onto you, and she's trying to bite you, and you have to like really shake the controller to shake her off of you.
You threw your Switch across the room.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just that part I could see being trouble in handheld mode.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything like that. If you're going on the critical path, it doesn't introduce anything where you have to have the Joy-Cons detached or anything. It's a possibility, maybe, I suppose, if you're doing a bunch of side quests, you might get into an area where it would really help if I could use the little move that Cappy has that circles around you and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which you can do, by the way, just in handheld mode without doing a motion. It's a little more difficult, but you can do it. So I don't know. It's not that big a deal to me.
Okay,
I'll just say this, CJ.
Yeah.
This is the third time this episode you've said the phrase "critical path."
I was
Critical
thinking
path. Critical path.
A phrase that nobody actually says.
Thank you.
Outside of people who work in the game industry. Yeah,
Well,
nobody says.
If you have watched the Mario Odyssey introduction trailer that's on Nintendo's YouTube channel about 3 or 4 times, like I did last week, they do say critical path.
You know that people who work at Nintendo work in the industry, right? That's what Phil just
They say it on the video.
Yeah, they work in the industry. They work for Nintendo.
They work at Nintendo. I don't
Critical path. Critical path.
Doesn't seem like a difficult concept to.
Next thing you know, CJ is going to say 007 is the best N64 FPS of 2007.
Next thing you know, CJ is going to be calling every game an experience.
Not to spoil the end of Mario Odyssey more.
By the way, none of the things that you've said have been in the game.
But you don't know that.
CJ just spoiled it now.
New listeners.
The critical path. Be sure to go back and find all the other moons.
What was that supposed to be?
That was well out of character.
Yeah. That didn't happen.
Well out of character for Mario to say.
Well, it wasn't a thing. Nope.
Why does Mario have a terrible Scottish accent? I didn't understand.
Critical path. It's in the critical path.
Scottish Irish.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Enjoy the game.
All right, hacker alias Soundscape 419 says, "Is the Switch considered part of the PS4, Xbox One, Wii U generation? Is this the first time a company has had 2 consoles in the same gen?"
I think it is. Yeah, I think in its own way, it is more next gen than the Xbox One and the PS4. I can see how you could argue it's not.
Here it comes.
No, I honestly think that portability and ease of use, to me, is more next gen than 4K.
Okay.
But the consoles that defined that generation were not 4K. So
right.
Okay.
I don't even remember the question.
Is this part of the PS4, Xbox One, Wii U generation? Is the Switch part of that? Yeah.
The Wii U I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Nintendo has always sort of been off in their own time frame.
Yes.
So yeah. But it's not weird. I mean, Sega did it.
Sure.
With the Dreamcast. They sort of disrupted the whole generation thing with the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that generation got started really. Its start was really staggered because you had the Dreamcast, then like 2 years later you had the PS2, and then you had the Xbox. The following year, the Xbox and the GameCube, or was it 2 years after that? So yeah, they've always done that.
Okay,
but yeah, I tend to look at generations more from the time frame than whether it's portable, I guess. But
yeah, I look at it more as the time frame plus shift in technology.
Yeah.
That goes along with it. And at the moment, I wouldn't say that the iterative consoles have started a new generation. They're just part of the old generation.
Yeah.
Right.
So Switch, I would say, is part of the Wii U generation. To answer that question. Anyway.
Like an Android phone is part of the Wii U generation. Kind of the same thing.
No. That's not true at all.
You say so.
Hacker alias Grim Grinning Guy says, never bought a guide, but tempted to pick up the Mario one to find all the moons after I beat it. Any of you plan to use the guide?
Probably not.
Guides are pretty darn good if I want to go digging deeper. Finding Korok seeds, I found really was helpful using the IGN guide.
Yeah, for stuff like that. I mean, I'll jump into a guide online. I won't buy one, but I'll jump into a guide online for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say check out the IGN stuff. If that doesn't fit the bill for you, then get a book.
Take a look.
I think the game does a pretty good job of giving you everything that you need, including that assist mode, which gives you an arrow above your head in terms of finding moons and whatnot. Plus, after you get to a certain point in the level, you have Toad show up and you can buy hints for additional moons. And so to me, there's really no reason to buy an extra guide for this.
Well,
I did buy the Breath of the Wild guide. But
I think he's talking about being a completionist, though.
Even if you're going to be a completionist, I think the fun of that hunting down those moons, is going to be a lot more exciting in the game and not with a guide on your lap. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree with that. I think that it's fun to do a couple passes, try to get as much as you can, but at a certain point, if you are trying to be a completionist, I at least like to have a guide in front of me and just then figure out roughly where they are and then pluck them out.
Okay. All right, let's finish up with this one from hacker alias bjoin 1979, who says, with the Mario excitement in full gear, what is your favorite Mario game? And please answer in the Snipperclips voice. Phil, you're first.
My personal favorite Mario game.
Wait, this is not the Snipperclips voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Snippy Clippies! Clip Yoshi's Island! Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
Dance monkey.
Dance.
Creeps. Clippy clip, snip, Yoshi's Island. Lots of clip fun.
I feel like, to be fair, you've done this to yourself.
Yeah.
It's the Family Guy.
What's Sam Raimi's favorite?
No. Hotel Mario, of course. For the Nintendo CDI.
My favorite.
Nintendo CDI.
It's the CDI-iest.
Starring Bruce Campbell?
Oh, well, Bruce Campbell plays Luigi and Super Luigi in a stunning dual role. The Academy's talking about Bruce Campbell in Hotel Mario.
It's the only voice I don't get tired of.
Oh, that's sweet. You'll be hearing from your grave.
Did you ever do the audio commentary for Spider-Man that you were talking about doing?
No, I really intended to back in the day.
Yeah, you should do that.
I did. Just, like a full 2 hour.
I love it. If you also did it for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, yes. The the latest Spider-Man Come Home, my directorial debut. The fine film where Super Parker swings to the rescue and saves the day from the evil Birdman of tomorrow.
Wow.
Bruce
All right.
Campbell, of course, stars as the theater owner and Mr. Mom in a stunning dual role.
The question is, what is your favorite Mario game?
The Yoshi's Island, of course.
We know yours.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the Mario Odyssey's pretty good, but Yoshi's Island.
I'd say I probably have to say Mario 64 still.
Yeah,
I really liked 3D World though.
Yeah.
And Mario 3 was, those are probably my top 3. So,
Okay.
and depending on when you ask, they would switch order.
Sure.
I would second Phil's. Actually, I think Yoshi's Island is my favorite as well.
All right.
I'm going to take down all those negative things I was saying about you on Reset Era, Ethan.
I think it's better than I think it's better than slightly worse than Star Fox 2, where Power Pros put it. So
there you go.
Hey.
I'm going to say Mario 3.
Yeah, Mario 3 is definitely up there for me.
Mario 3 is a great one.
Although Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS is really high.
That was
up there.
really good
That's
too.
good.
Yeah.
That is a good game.
No, it's hard to. I don't know. It's always difficult to say that what your favorite of a series like that is. Same as like Zelda.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick a favorite
because
and
each one is so damn good, except for
Right.
Zelda 2.
Yeah. The
When it
bad ones
comes
are
to-
an exception, right? So
Yeah.
when it comes to the Game of the Year discussions, and yes, I know that PUBG and Horizon Zero Dawn and others will be discussed, but I honestly do think that most of the talk is going to be about those two games, about Mario and Zelda. But it is kind of asking, like, do you like Beatles or Elvis better? It's one of those,
Well, first of all, it's the Beatles.
Mhm.
Right.
Jackson 5.
Yeah, I think my number 1 and 2 are locked up at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. All right. Is that it? I think that might be it.
Way to finish with energy, CJ.
Finishing with energy.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Let's run the new theme song.
Run the new outro thing. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find show notes for this and all of our episodes right there for you. Just type in player1podcast.com/573 in this case, and you will go to this episode's notes. Yeah. There you will also find
Oh, what the?
Ethan's arm.
For those of you watching on the YouTube's got a quick look right up Ethan's shirt sleeve, right at the old pin.
That was not my arm, and you were not looking
We call it Wonderland.
Thanks. At player1podcast.com, you'll also find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward,
We should start working on a new one of those soon.
as well as Generation 16 episodes.
Yes, the new episode's coming along very nicely.
Nice.
Excellent. What else do I say here? Oh, yeah. And if you want to talk with us, chat with us on Discord, we have a link in the Twitter profile. You can come chat with us, which is totally awesome. Or if you are looking for a message board to call home, we've got one of those as well. player1podcast.com/forum. And you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by going to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can also invest $1.99.
Cheap.
Pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application, gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, and what have you. We also have all those episodes ready to stream right to your listen device. And hey, Android cell phone telephone users! The Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listen device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You can find that right over to the Amazon Android Marketplace. We're also on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch archives of our show and watch us live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 Podcast.
True.
And if you've liked what you've heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. It keeps CJ swimming in wedding amiibos.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. I know you got one there to hold up.
I don't.
What? Did your
Yeah,
kid got them?
My daughter's been playing with them.
She's playing with them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this thing on? Hi, I'm Peach.
Oh my God! Really, stop it! Stop it! God!
I think we have another voice added to the.
Wow.
Yeah, the voice of nightmares.
Ethan is Creepy Peach.
Creepeach. For short.
Creepy Peach. Hold that up, Ethan, real quick. Hold that amiibo up to the camera. Well, not that close, you weirdo.
Yeah.
Let's see the whole thing. There we go.
Say it.
Huh? Her dress looks like a wiener.
Mm-hmm.
Her dress looks like the tip of a wee wee.
Okay.
It does. It just does. If you have a couple bucks,
I did not notice that until you said that.
and now that's all
you'll
be
see.
able to see now. There it is.
Okay.
There it is. Jeez Louise. Ethan's
Go ahead,
gears and
keep
Ethan's
going.
heads are turning right now.
We were doing so well. We had new
Yeah.
art. We had new theme song.
If you have a couple bucks left over after so generously donating to our Patreon, you can go over to generation-16.com where you'll find a Patreon link to help support Greg Stewart's outstanding web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis.
Thank you.
And it is a great show. It's a great show. And of course, go donate to Extra Life. What's the link for Extra Life there, Greg?
extra-life/participant/Seward.
Extra-life.org/participant.
Thank you. God, I always screw that up.
Yeah.
Seward.
Help Seward make his goal. Helps out some sick kids.
Yes, please. Please.
And what's the Player One store? Do we have a storefront?
Oh yeah, right.
CJ?
Teespring.com/P1podcast.
That's your one-stop shop for shirts with our logo on it.
That's right.
And coffee mugs.
And there's a coffee mug too. That's P1 Podcast mug. So it's teespring.com/P1 Podcast mug.
We don't have like a centralized store yet.
No, I haven't set that up yet.
Hey man, it's only been 11 years. What do you want? Walmart wasn't built in a day.
That's right.
Oh man. If you go to teespring.com/P1 Podcast clock, you can get your own Player One clock.
That's not true. No.
If you go to teespring.com/P1 Podcast banana hammock, you can get your very own branded.
That is true. That's only for patrons.
Yeah.
You can house your wedding peach amiibo in those.
Yep. That's where Ethan keeps his.
Just the tip, though.
Just the tip.
Okay. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
And of course, Ethan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yay. And that's it.
Woohoo!
Next week?
Do it now. Oh, I should be on next week. I'll probably be on.
What do you have more important than this?
Doing the Extra Life thing, man.
Extra Life? What is that?
Okay.
More like Get a Life.
What?
Sorry. I couldn't resist, but
That amused me for some reason. Next week, folks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Come on, you Bowser.